This conference is a culmination of the joint efforts of government, APTDC and CII. My congratulations and compliments to this consortium. What do we seek from this conference? A roadmap for enabling Indian industry, institutions and MSMEs to implement an in-house IP culture. There are experts to construct the roadmap, and therefore I would like to dwell on the approach for the roadmap and in the process touch on the famous agreement called TRIPS. The roadmap has to recognize and acknowledge the presence of the seismic changes in the global economic scenario and the Indian scenario in particular. All over the world, there is a clamor for change. Look at the Arab Spring, a rebellion by people against autocratic governments of their countries. More recently, citizens have come on the streets in Turkey and Brazil, both with democratically elected governments. Governments of European countries are also under stress, demanding change. The United States monopoly on the governance of the internet is being debated. In India, at home, millions came out led by Anna Hazare against corruption. In the country today, there is a loud demand for change against lack of governance and in favor of institutions of good governance. So turning back to the roadmap, my first take is that change should be factored in while constructing the map. There should be a recognition that there is a dichotomy between IP protection and public interest. All of you are experts. You know that IP creates a monopoly, but public interest wants competition which is anti-monopoly. So to balance these two dimensions must inform the vignettes of the roadmap. I'll give an example. All of you are aware of the WTO agreement TRIPS. It's loaded in favor of the patentee, the man who holds the patent holder or inventor. Nothing wrong with it per se. After all, the inventor, the creator, must have protection from copying and imitating by somebody or some other parties. So protection for a particular specific period, say 20 years, patents is fine. But if the patentee, as the patent holder, loads his royalty very high, he or she is likely to prejudice the consumer interest. TRIPS, fortunately, is flexible to some extent, particularly for developing and emerging economies. You may recall, ladies and gentlemen, that at Doha, the WTO Council decided that in the case of pandemic diseases, public interest can override TRIPS provisions. For instance, life-saving drugs, which are out of reach for the common man, could be made available at affordable prices through compulsory licensing. Our Controller General in Patents gave a landmark ruling on compulsory licensing about a year and a half ago. All of you are aware. So the second factor, therefore, to sum up that point, in the roadmap construction is to balance IP protection and public interest. Third, the roadmap should inherit the notion of justice, equity and fairness. For the citizens and stakeholders, IP exploitation needs to be fair and just and equitable.